Today we are going to be doing some landscaping on my base, and we're going to be using some moss blocks. To start off, I'm going to need some bone meal, because bone meal is useful for everything. I have a good amount of bone meal in here. I have a shocker box worth and a little bit extra. That should be enough, but I need more bone meal. I need some kind of bone meal farm. This is a really easy farm to build. All you need is composters, chests, and hoppers, and then you need an item to compost in the composter. So the item I've chosen is cactus, and you can see I have 4 double chests and a little bit extra of cactus. Originally what I was using cactus for was to smelt it to get green dye, and you also get a good amount of experience, which is useful at the beginning of the game. But unfortunately at this point I have a trident farm, and I also have a villager trading hall that I can get XP from, so I don't really have a use for cactus at the moment. So with cactus, it is a 50% chance when you put it in the composter to increase the compost level by 1. It goes up to level 7, then when it reaches level 7, it reaches level 8 and produces 1 piece of bone meal. On average, it takes 14 pieces of cactus to produce 1 piece of bone meal. For this farm, I have 2 options where to build it. One is in my base in one of these empty rooms. Option D is to build it underground near my cactus farm. Option ick would require me to actually filter out the cactus from the other items in my storage system. Option dose is easier as I don't have to filter out the cactus from everything else. I'm going with option knee because it's easier. I mean lazy. Don't judge me. So if I remember correctly, under the cactus farm, I actually have a giant space. So if there is still this space, looks like there's enough space down here, I can just build the farm under the cactus farm, which makes it a lot easier. Ta-da! So here is the bone meal farm. So I just want to point out a couple things about this. So the first thing is that you can put items into the composter. The hopper has to be above the composter pointing into it. And also, the hoppers have to be underneath the composter to pick up the items. So you can't have a hopper pointing into the side. That will not work. The other thing I completely forgot about is that bone meal cannot be put into a dispenser, and it won't drop as an item when you put it into the dispenser. So I can't put it into the upward bubble column the way I have it set up right now. So right now it's just going to go into these chests and collect. Now that that is done, let's talk about the plan involving landscaping. So here's the rough idea for the landscaping. I'm going to be using flowering azaleas, flowering azalea leaves, allium, lilac, and purple tulips. Most of these you can get through the moss block. The exceptions are purple tulips, allium, and lilac. Lilac doesn't matter, as using bone meal on lilac will produce another lilac. To find these, I need to find a flower forest. So looking at the map, I remember there's 2 specific spots where there's flower forest. One is around the icebergs over here, but I can't remember if it's around here or somewhere over here. It could be even further down. And the other spot I know there's a flower forest is around the Mushroom Island here. It's right north of here, right over here. Getting to the flower forest was actually pretty easy. I was anticipating it being a bit difficult because the chunk reset has been a little weird with nether portals, but the flower forest ended up being right next to the nether portal. I should just explain with flower forest, there's a specific way that flowers generate. Each block only generates 1 specific flower when bone meal is used. Also, the flowers generate around each other. As I'm trying to find allium, it is possible to find a patch of allium together. Flowers in other biomes generate differently. Some have patches with tulips and all the other flowers. Some are just random based on the flowers that grow there. If you want to do a flower farm to get dye, you should probably look at the best options. But in this case, I just need to find some allium and pink tulips. Pink tulips, not purple tulips. I only need maybe 2 stacks, but it would be nice to have more. So I found this spot that grows allium. You can see 1 flower there. Of course, it grows a lot of grass and tall grass, but if I keep applying bone meal to this spot, I can keep getting allium flowers. And I found this spot where I can do white tulips over here and pink tulips over here. So I have all the flowers that I need. Well, not all the flowers. I still need to get some from the moss blocks, but I have allium, pink tulips, white tulips. I also have a peony, and I have lilacs back at my base. Now I get to do the fun part, which is using moss blocks. So to do this, I want to find an island. It really doesn't matter where it is, but I'm weird. So here I am on my island close to my creeper farm. So I have my shears, I have my bone meal. I have way more bone meal than anybody needs, and I have moss blocks. So all I gotta do is, here's some moss blocks already, and I just apply bone meal, and you can see azaleas, some grass, and some moss carpet. And I just gotta keep doing this to get more flowering azaleas and azaleas. While I'm doing this, I'm just going to remind you of the numbers. When you use bone meal on moss blocks, there is a 3x3 to 7x7 area that is affected and can turn into moss blocks. There is a wide variety of blocks that can be changed into moss blocks. There are exceptions like sand blocks and gravel blocks. When you use bone meal on moss blocks, there is a 50% chance of grass, 25% for moss carpet, 10% for tall grass, 10% for azalea, and 5% for flowering azalea. Azaleas, flowering azaleas, moss carpet can be broken by hand and don't require shears. If you want flowering azalea leaves, an azalea leaves, or an azalea tree, you will have to use bone meal on an azalea or flowering azalea. Flowering azalea leaves and azalea leaves are the same as leaves, just when they decay or break, they may drop azaleas and flowering azaleas as saplings. One big thing is in the 1.17 update, there are no other ways to get these than through the moss block. When the 1.18 update happens, they can be found in the lush cave biome, but there is no lush cave biome yet. So now to do the exact same thing, but for the azalea tree. So put the azalea down, apply the bone meal, bam, azalea tree. You can see the flowering azalea leaves, the azalea leaves in here. There is the oak log, and under here, you can see the rooted dirt block. Now I just gotta shear this thing. It took me a bit to get the amount of leaves I need for this project. It's going to be a lot of leaves. So here are all the shocker boxes of the stuff I got. So I still have a ton of bone meal in here. I have a lot of moss carpet that I'll probably just leave aside until I need it for something. There is a lot of azalea leaves and a lot less flowering azaleas, but there are 5 stacks, which I hope is enough for this. Then you have flowering azaleas and azaleas and a lot of random blocks and all the flowers I got from the flower forest. And then I have a ton of grass. So one thing I want to explain is how you get hanging roots. So right now in the game, there is no way to get hanging roots except through rooted dirt blocks. So in the 1.18 update, it will be available in the lush cave biome. But right now, when you apply bone meal to rooted dirt, hanging roots will grow at the bottom when there's a free space below. So basically you will shear it to get it, like that. You can also use a hoe on rooted dirt to drop the hanging roots, and it'll turn it into a dirt block. Before I do the landscaping, I just need to explain another part of this. I thought the platform was a bit too much sandstone, as you can tell over here, so I thought I wanted to break it up with something a bit different. So you can see there's chiseled red sandstone at the bottom, orange terracotta, and cut red sandstone with acacia fences and lanterns on each end. And then there will be sandstone stairs on the sides just to break up the texture a bit. I probably should have checked if I had enough of that stuff to do this. And it looks like I have no acacia wood or fences in my chest. Doesn't look like I have enough red sand either. It does look like I have enough orange terracotta though, so that's nice at least. That is a conundrum. Is that the right word? I went and tried to gather some of these materials. So I chopped down some acacia trees in the savanna nearby. I got to use my efficiency 5 shovel on some red sand. Now I have the supplies. It is time to do the landscaping. So let's start by putting down the chiseled red sandstone. Then next is the orange terracotta, and then the red cut sandstone. And for a little flavoring, let's throw some acacia fences on top and a lantern on each end for some lighting to prevent the mobs from constantly spawning on that platform. And next we throw some sandstone stairs on the side for a bit of texture. and I want to try some sandstone blocks to see if this works. I think that definitely looks a lot better than if I just had some smooth sandstone on the sides here. So now we get to do the landscaping. So my tendency is to do everything the exact same. So I'm just gonna randomly place blocks and see how it works. So let's throw some flowering azaleas. I really like this leaf. The flower in the middle looks pretty good. So let's throw a flowering azalea there. Let's throw some azalea leaves over here. Let's put a lilac in the back. Maybe another peony there. And then some white tulips around. And how about some allium here? And a pink tulip. So it's a bit busy, but I kind of like that. And it's just playing around and seeing what works. So let's take a look at the landscaping. I think it looks pretty good. I think it works well with the color palette that I have for the rest of the base. I mean, it's pink and purple with green, and it doesn't conflict too much with that. So I think this looks pretty good. Definitely add something. Now I just have to add more on the outside here. So the landscaping didn't take that long, so I did a couple other things. So the first thing was I added this bridge from my base. Basically, it just will look cooler when I'm walking to my base over this bridge. I also couldn't help myself, so I did some work on my base. And what I did was I basically pushed all the walls back. So what this means is now there is an elevator that goes down from my base at the center. This is more convenient because then I can just walk into my base and then go down to the mine. I also unfortunately had to get rid of the auto smelter to move the walls back, so I'm gonna have to build that again. I've also pushed back all the walls on the second level. This means that I can now double my storage. So now I can put storage on this side, and that side. And also, because I pushed the walls back so much, there's a giant space in the middle here where I can put more storage, and there's more even over here. The reason I need so much storage is I just have too many items now. And also with the 1.17 update, this means that I have things like copper, glowberries, amethyst shards, blocks of amethyst, smooth basalt. All this stuff needs a storage slot. I think that is enough for today's episode, so I thank you guys for watching.